I have a dream. Effective narrator is who is welcomed as a helper. The effective narration consists in the presentation of elements, pronounced words, writing, symbols, static or dynamic images, objects, actions, that are acknowledged and welcomed as a help in the context of the needs of those who welcomes the narrative. We here consolidate a central point with respect to the efficacy of narration. We cannot separate narration from narrator. As systemic entities, our elaboration proceeds by integrating elements related to both aspects. Not that the rest, everything we think we know about the good wrapping of narration by the narrator, is useless or irrelevant. In our perspective, the centrality is attributed to help and being helped. Effective compared to what? Efficacy indicates the relationship between a target and a result. So far, we have focused the condition of efficacy independent of contexts, environments, and contents. A criterion of evaluation that we adopt in observing the narrators and the recipients of narrations. We have entered the systemics with the aim of finding practical solutions, practical answers, not just for the sake of entertaining ourselves on the wonders of our systemic nature. Now, let's try to start grounding what we have collected. I opened with a note, quote, "I have a dream," believed to be among the most effective narratives in the history of the West. We know that it refers to a specific context which synthesizes desires and sufferings, which indicates a line of action, and so much more. In our daily lives, we do not generally deal with issues of that magnitude. However, we have daily to deal with issues, with problems, with needs, which, albeit of a much more modest scope, are for us by definition important. Our narration, from our point of view, is effective insofar as it succeeds in obtaining the result of solving problems and satisfying the needs with which we are dealing. As narrators, the positive proof of success is constituted by the evidences that we manage to obtain related to the reception that our interlocutor has reserved to our narration. Obeys, takes into account, appreciates, integrates, in short, it acts adequately in the real environment so to help us in obtaining conditions which favorably support our survival and all its derivatives. As recipients and receptors of the narrations, the proof of efficacy is quite similar, with the only difference of concentrating the feedback on the adequacy of our action in the virtual and real environments, a doubt eliminated, a new connection detected, a better result obtained. Many are the forms of feedback to which we can access. Every form of human communication is a narration. No matter how short or broad, no matter what expressive medium is used, in every communicative act comes into play the work of our systems. In every communicative act comes into play the helper and being helped. We have defined help what contributes positively to obtain for us conditions that favorably support our survival and all its derivatives. That is, at the foot of the aid, of course, we have placed the need and all its derivatives, including desire, which of need is one of the forms of expression. Aware with this that we have opened an enormously complex and variegated front, each of us has direct and daily evidence of the innumerable forms of needs and desires that our fellows express, as well as evidence of the presence of needs and desires that are not expressed and manifested either by conscious decision of our interlocutors or unconsciously. Each of us has direct and daily evidence of the frequent incorrectness of judgment, ours and others, about what helps and what doesn't help, and the frequent dead ends where we enter when we try to convince someone that he or she is wrong. Maybe now we will bring better attention, we will try to be better helpers, but the question remains: how can we manage the enormous variability and often incomprehensibility for us of the needs, the desires, and the evaluation and the judgments on what helps and what does not? Some scholars, not systemic that I know of, have tried to provide a sort of map, classification of needs. Among the best known there is certainly Maslow and his pyramid. The greater merit of that schematization consists in its apparent simplicity and clarity, generally perceived as of considerable help in trying to dominate an otherwise savage, intricate, and incomprehensible territory. In a more or less direct but not less significant way, there are many scholars who over the centuries have proposed theories of need, basically all those who have dealt with human behavior. Because a theory of needs is indispensable to give sensible answer to any question about the human acting. Freud, Piaget, Darwin, Leibniz are the first ones that come to my mind, but the list is very long and also includes contemporary scholars, among all Umberto Maturana, to whom systemics owes a lot. We too are using a theory of needs. From the beginning, we have put to the foundation of everything basically the survival of the individual and the species. For us systemics, each form of need and desire derives and articulates the fundamental need identified in survival. Good morning, Mary. Good morning, John. How are you? Kind of good, only nasty cold, nothing. How are you? Cold too. Seasonals. I apologize for not having responded immediately when you called me on the phone. I was in session. What can I do for you? I wanted to ask you if you could give me the access key to the your platform. Oh, the keys are located in an email stored in the your folder of the administration account. But the platform is no longer accessible for months. Oh, I just want to download the recorded data. They certainly have kept the archive, so we can complete the documentation. No, they should have kept the archive. The account, in any case, has been disabled, and even with the keys you can no longer access. The data had already been downloaded. You can find them in the folder George 2019 of the archive that I sent you a few months ago. I understand, but the access keys, where can I find them? In the email archive there is too much stuff and you get lost. Can we understand, identify the connection between the two narratives and the satisfaction of the fundamental need identified in survival? Can we understand, to have an idea of why John's narration doesn't seem to be effective? With a little imagination, even without having other data and context information, we can link the behavior of the two storytellers to the surge of the satisfaction of the need for survival. And recalling the principle of similarity, the genetically determined necessity of keeping aligned real environments and virtual environments. See Substance of Narration, January 30th, 2019. We can grasp that Mary's insistence on the access keys can be an effect of his way of keeping aligned what he has in his virtual environment with what she finds in her real environment. Genetically determined necessity means need, of course. The principle of similarity, the sameness principle, articulates the fundamental need for survival with respect to the obvious preferability that our system function adequately. And with that, we get to the systemic needs. We have to deal with them.